Within the SCA, if you're talking about weapons, you're generally talking about rattan. Rattan has a lot of very interesting properties that make it very safe for people to use, and I'm not going to get into what those properties are right now. For most people, though, when they're talking about a piece of rattan, they're talking about something like this. Round baton with the skin on, at least 1.25 inches in diameter, so that it doesn't fit inside of a helmet slot. I've seen a few variations like this here where they pulled off the skin. You notice this one's got the flat. Makes it a little bit easier to fit inside the hand. But a few years ago, I met a gentleman who had a sword, a rattan waster that looked like this. This is actually my own variation, a little bit wider on the striking surface. And Ortega Hobson also makes a nice variation on this. And for several years, I made these. But one of the issues we always ran into was down at the handle. In general, when you're talking about a pommel on a sword like this, the pommels tend to either sit crooked, they tend to also be modeled after steel swords. So in general, if you're talking about a pommel, it's usually like this, and you can see very, very narrow. Works out very well when you have a steel tang, but not so well for a piece of wood. And I started playing with the idea of a standardized size sword. Now, first I was playing with ovals, and then I came across a shape that worked out really, really well, which is 1.5 inches by 1 inch slot. It's 2 semicircles with a rectangle in the center. Gives a very nice shape, fits very, very nicely in the hand. Generally is what you see on a lot of hammers. Now, the problem with this design was, again, going back to the pommels, I ended up making a modification where I did something like this, had that same shape up here, but tapered down to fit onto the pommel. But you notice that even though I tapered this down quite a bit, it's still not small enough. These really didn't work out really well. So my idea was to go back to this and make a pommel that will work with this shape. Now, I've already got several cross guards that work in this shape. As a matter of fact, Munitions Grade Arms has this one here that uses that exact same shape on the cross guard. There's also several out there that I've made in the past that are built like this, again with that same shape here. But the problem is the new pommel should fit on here and should also fit all the way up to about here. So we're not spinning like a lot of pommels do. It's staying secure. It's not simply flopping off. A lot of pommel I see have a very, very shallow hole. And this is where I think we're heading.